You know that when you put a message onto that group, a shout out for prayer, there are seriously holy women there, and you know that they're going to pray for you and they're going to storm heaven for you when you just don't have the words or the energy or anything to even speak. Hello and welcome back to HLI Ireland's Let's Talk series. My name is Lisa O'Hare and I'm really excited about today's show. Today I have a very special guest. I have my friend and the founder of the Irish Catholic Mothers group, Sinead Strong, is here to chat with us today. Hello Sinead, you're so welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on, Lisa. How you doing?
Great, all good. So we've got our babies all packaged to the side. Hopefully they're going to stay quiet for the next 30 minutes or so.
A few doors blockaded off there.
So Sinead, I wanted really to talk to you about, this is the first opportunity that I've had to have you here on the show and to tell us a little bit more about the Irish Catholic Mothers group. Some people may not know that it even exists. So I wanted to just get straight in there and ask you where the inspiration came, or when the group started, where you got the inspiration from and what it all involves. So I'll let you fire away and tell us all.
Yeah, no problem. I suppose I got married now, it'll be 10 years coming in May. And I moved from my home in Omagh to County Monaghan. And it was such a big adjustment for me. And I was really struggling. I felt like I was removed from everything I knew. And then I started having a family. So I had a load of children and I was away from my home and away from my friends. And I was sort of keeping in contact with people on the phone. And I had been talking to different people and everybody kept saying, oh, we must meet. And I thought, my goodness, I'm going to be meeting every day of the week. And even talking to my friends and listening to the different things they had been going through and what I was going through myself, the different struggles of motherhood and, family life. I was just listening to them thinking, gosh, I know somebody that's going through something similar and they don't know each other. And basically then I was at a service in Drogheda and it was in front of the adoration, and the Blessed Sacrament was on the altar, and I just got this big whoosh of everything just was like, you need to start a Catholic Mothers group, and that was it. And I phoned Mary, my best friend, and because I thought, right, if she'll do it with me, then I'll do it. We have to, because you can't go on ones, you have to go on twos. That's what it tells you in the Bible. So she was completely on board, and I started contacting all my friends and asked them that, the group that at the time. So 7 of us met in County Armagh, Loughgall Forest Park. I think that was 2015 maybe. And that was the first Catholic Mothers meetup. And the children all played together and the mums all chatted and we had a picnic, and it was just so lovely to meet up with all our friends, and that we all are bringing our children up in the Catholic faith, so we're not the weirdo religious family there, we're all the one. Because I think that's when you're out in your own areas, you feel so isolated. You think you're the only one bringing your children up in the faith. Schools and everybody around doesn't really put as much focus on God. And, when everything we do, like, God's always first, and we just come across so weird to everybody else, and they don't sort of get it. So that was the real main thing, was to have a group where we could meet up, get a break away from the house, talk, have a wee rant if you need it, and have a cup of coffee, let the children play, and that they were playing with other families that are being brought up in the faith, and that the faith was so important. It wasn't just us, which can be, it's hard with children because they're looking at everybody directly around them and they think why are we so different? So this was to help to show that we're not different, that there's lots of other families. And that started off back then, and there was 7 families, and it's just grown year on year since, we've now got 4 groups around the 4 provinces. And on the Ulster group, we see, because it was Ulster it started, but then we started attracting people from further down around the country, and it just kept growing. And I just kept saying, okay, God, where do you want me to go next? So over the years, just getting more people in and trying to figure out what exactly else I needed to do, because meeting up and having these picnics or having a break away from the house was good, but we also needed more. We needed spiritual nourishment. So we just don't want to be sitting chatting. So we tried to make our meetups that we were going to mass in our own area first, and then we'd travel to wherever we picked to meet up, and we'd pray the rosary on the way, and we'd have intentions that I would have wrote out intentions and shared them among everybody and said, offer your rosary for these intentions. Because it was really important to me always from the start that we unite our prayers. Our prayers are so much stronger when they're united together.
Yeah, Sinead, I mean, from my perspective, I always thought it was an inspired move of yours to create this group, or to see the need for that group. And obviously, you have prayer at the centre, and when the Holy Spirit's involved, he can do all sorts of crazy things, bringing the most amazing people together. I can't remember when I joined the group myself, but as someone who never knew you until this group existed, it's been quite a big part of our lives. And I think what you're saying before about feeling like the weirdo Catholic family, probably a lot of people can resonate with that. And I think in this climate that we're in, I think all Catholic mothers and fathers are aware now that we need to be so much more intentional about our friendships. It used to be all set up for us. It used to be the same friends were at your primary school and your football club and your Irish dancing classes and all your community, your network, your extended family. It all just pre-existed. You didn't even have to think about it. But now, because the faith is obviously under threat, but it's not so easy to be outwardly Catholic anymore. And it's not so easy to connect with people who really have God at the centre of their lives. So we've been so grateful to you for doing that, and we've made so many friends all across, particularly as you said Ulster, but across Ireland now. You went so far. I know you're creating like a constitution at the minute, but you have like patron saints, a prayer. I can see the icon there behind you. Tell us a little bit more about all that thought that's gone into the group.
Yes. So just as the group was growing, I felt that it needed some spiritual direction. So I approached Father Owen Gorman. He had been moved back to Castleblaney at that time. And I had been talking to him he was calling round for a visit, and I kept talking to him about the group, and he was giving me brilliant advice. And so then I was sitting thinking, I need a spiritual director, who will I get? And then I was like, well, the most natural choice was him. And thank God I asked him and he said, no problem. He'd love to. And he has been great. And he advised then on, having a motto and having an apostolate of daily prayer and having our patron saints. So he's a wealth of knowledge on the saints, and he drew up different prayers. So we have an apostolate of daily prayer, which is tailor-made to a mum, that it's just one decade of the rosary and offering it up for the Catholic mothers and their families. And our patron saints are obviously Our Lady, Saint Monica, Saint Louis and Zélie Martin, and Saint Therese. And then we have prayer to Saint Elizabeth on that, which is a really powerful prayer. And our motto then, our image even, we had one of our Catholic mothers, Roisin, drew and painted it. So it's a 100% original. Myself and Roisin and Father Owen met together years ago to discuss an image, and Roisin was late getting down the road, and Father Owen so had to wait for us, so he decided to go to adoration. And whilst he was in adoration, he came up with most of the different elements of this image. So the idea was to have it in the style of an icon, so that it's that there's different, each part of it, there's different elements of it, and that it would be something that you could meditate on. The motto is orare atque nutrire, which means to pray and to nurture. So there's as mothers, we're praying for our children, and we're nourishing them. We're nourishing them spiritually, and we're nourishing them physically, so that it's this multi-level way of working through the group and through the motherhood, that it's not just one thing, it's many things.
It's all the multifaceted stresses and strains that we have, particularly in the culture, in such a fast pace. We've so many demands on our children, and as I said before about the threats as well, but you've got you've got the ordinary, the physical demands of sleeplessness, the demands of having to provide food and clothing and and education and all that.
And it's worse now than it ever was.
Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah, and it's so much more fast paced, and there's such a lack of community now. It's all about me and what can I do to make my life better and easier. And, people that are choosing then to have bigger families don't have that support. So that was part of the whole thing with the Catholic mothers, that you're not alone. We're here, we're all together, and we'll support you. And I always laugh about the prayer group, that we have an unofficial motto as well, which is, when you can't pray, we'll pray for you.
Yeah.
So, and that's lifted people through so many difficult times.
Well, there's a couple of things I wanted to just mention on that. One of the biggest, I think, things that have bonded us together is the suffering that we've all been through, and we've had some really major accidents, deaths, and then illnesses, disabilities, special needs, all sorts of challenges. And I think, suffering together is probably one of the most powerful things. It is what it is to be Christian, to be Catholic. And I think that's really, really bonded us, because like you say, that when you put a message onto that group, a shout out for prayer, there are seriously holy women there, and that they're going to pray for you, and they're going to storm heaven for you when you just don't have the words or the energy or anything to even speak. And I think everyone has found a huge comfort in that. And the other thing that I wanted to say as well, and it's to do with suffering, because of the life we have chosen, the Catholic life and all that it brings, and its openness to life, and obviously bigger families mostly, it's not so easy for other people to understand those stresses, because they automatically think, well, you shouldn't have had as many children, or you're doing this to yourself. So to have women around us who understand that we are trying to strive for heaven, our goal is heaven, and it's really hard to get there, and we don't want to take our eyes off that goal. So it's really important that we have women around us who don't jack in the towel, who want to work at their marriage, who want to work at their parenting, who want to work at themselves, and they're not prepared to throw in the towel or take the easy option. And in order to be able to do that, we need an incredible amount of support. And I think that's one of the amazing things that the group gives.
Oh, definitely. There's so many times, even myself, when you're struggling, it's hard to lift the phone and ask for help.
Yeah.
And then for me anyway, I've suffered on for a few things, and then John's like, why don't you text up onto the Catholic Mothers group? And then I text up, and everything seems to just get sorted.
And we've seen miracles. We have seen miracles.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's been so good.
He really has. There's been so many now at this stage.
the other thing I wanted to say as well, I'm sure you'll reinforce it, you know, we have such a wide variety of Catholic mothers. I wouldn't want anybody to think that just, you know, that this Catholic vision is perfect. We have single mothers in the group. We have mothers with large families, mothers with small families, mothers who have suffered from infertility, miscarriage. We have families who adopt, foster. Yeah. You know, as I said, we've such a wide variety of families. It's, you know, no one can feel excluded that they don't fit this mold. Really, you know, would you say that?
It's for everyone. You know, that we have just such a diverse. There's no one set way to be a mother, because even, you know, there's women that come along to stuff that aren't married or they don't have children, but they're a spiritual mother. Do you know, there's the spirit, because I'm not just mother to my own children. You know, I can be a mother to others through my prayers for them, and, you know, and we are all called to that. That there's, you know, there's so much. It's so deep. Motherhood. It's not just, you know, a simple of have a child and that's motherhood. It's not.
Yeah. So I did want to talk to you about one of the recent events that you had. I know we do, you know, we've the picnics, and we have the All Saints party is normally a big one, and we have get-togethers, we nights out the odd time,
occasionally.
Well, tell us about the most recent event, which was the retreat down in Dundalk.
Yes, Dundalk. My goodness, that retreat was just fantastic. And not just the day for me. I was approached at the start of the summer, maybe, from a couple of mums texting me, asking, would you ever think of doing a retreat for the Catholic mothers? And I was like, yeah, I have often thought about it over the years, but it just never came into play. So I was at a few different things and met some different people, and sort of putting the feelers out to see, you know, because I don't want to organise this and then for it to fall flat in its face or nobody turn up, or, you know, because it takes, no matter how many people turn up, there's a lot of organisation in it. So there was loads of interest, and I approached Father David in the Dominicans in Dundalk and asked him, would he be interested in, you know, have a hosting, or, you know, letting us have our retreat with them. And he was 100% on board. Yeah, whatever that would be something that would interest them, because they want to develop their own family ministry there, and they want to be doing more to bring people together, you know. So I went to him, and we worked out a plan for the day, and then started advertising it, and there was unbelievable response. I think there was nearly 70 women there on the day. And but I had far more interest than that, and loads of the women that came on the day had never been involved with the group in any way before. So it wasn't as if this was our, because I think we at the time before the retreat, on the group, the WhatsApp group, there was over 50 mothers on it, plus then the few extra that I'd be in contact outside of that. But I think it's about doubled now, nearly, the in Ulster alone.
Yeah, one of the things, I mean, again, because it's centred around our faith, what you incorporated into the group was what we all needed for nourishment, which was, you know, obviously good food, good friendship. But you had then the spiritual guidance of the priests. We had Eucharistic adoration, the chance for confession, which is sometimes so hard to get. We obviously started with Mass and the Rosary on the way. You know, a group of us travelled together. We said the Rosary on the way there, I think the Rosary on the way home again. But it just combines everything, because you've got then the fun as well of catching up with people. And then you're always finding people who share some of your life experiences. You know, I was chatting to a girl whose older brother had Down syndrome, and I have a wee child with Down syndrome. So we were catching, you know, she was telling me all about him, and he's maybe in his 50s now. And it's just lovely to hear from her. And then you're chatting to someone else about teenagers, or you're chatting about your toddlers. And there was so many. I mean, I think I loved how many tea breaks you had in the whole day.
That was very important for me for that day, that we had the talks, and that it's a retreat. You know, it wasn't a conference or anything else. It was a retreat. So it was a day away just for mum to come and to listen and to absorb, listen to the spiritual talks, but also have that time in between for just sitting there, for talking, and for going to confessions. There was confessions on as well. And, just something different that we don't get as mums, because usually when we organise anything for the group, it's the whole car's packed up and it's, the whole car coming with you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the things that that struck me about it as well, and maybe you can tell us the titles of the talks in a wee second, but you had three priests gave a talk, and then you had Jennifer who gave a talk on the temperaments. But what struck me was how three, as the world would say, celibate older men, how can they speak into Catholic motherhood? But they could. That's what struck me, because we're talking about eternal truths. They were talking about the goal being heaven. They were talking about Our Lady. They were talking about sin. They were talking about the attack on the family. And I just thought, this is so countercultural. The Irish Times or any of those papers wouldn't believe that these men can speak into our lives with authority and with truth and with such goodness and with such love, and really give us something to go away nourished. And I thought that was incredible. You just think, gosh, the world does not realise. They have this idea that the Catholic Church is led by these men in Rome, and that it's, it can't speak to women somehow, or that unless women are priests, we can't have a voice, or we can't be part of it. That was one of the things that struck me. Maybe you could tell us a bit more about the talks.
Yeah, well, the priests they're so knowledgeable. They've studied the priesthood, and it's their job to lead us to heaven. So it doesn't matter what you are, that's what they're there to do. And the priests that day were just fantastic. Father Pat, he's a Cork man, and he gave us the talk on the life of grace communicated through the sacraments and how they fit into family life. Mm-hmm. And that resonated with a lot of people. I got a lot of good feedback from that. Everybody's like, what's my end goal now? Everybody's asking that. That was the question. What's your end goal? And our end goal is heaven. Then we had, as you said, Jennifer Keogh. She gave the talk on the 4 temperaments and how we can grow in our family through understanding them. And it was one of the most popular talks of the day, I think, that people really related to it, because there's so many personalities in our families, and it can cause a lot of conflict. But when you understand the way people are, or the type of personality that they are, that you can try and relate to them and communicate better. Then Father Roland talked to us about suffering in the Christian life, and he said the cross has 2 legs, and so do I. That was the one that stood out to me. So who am I a cross to? That, it's not just all about per me and all the crosses that I have, and being aware of if we're being that way to others. And then Father David Barnes, he brought the day to a close, giving us a talk on being in the world but not of it, and the challenges we face as Catholic families. Mm-hmm. And he was brilliant. Like, he just really, it was quite hard hitting, and it was such a relief to hear him talking, like, that he could understand. He can see mm-hmm. from the people that he's dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's why everybody got so much out of it. We felt like that we weren't invisible.
Exactly.
They could see us. They know, and the relief that somebody understands what you're going through. And as you said, when you were talking to other people, and different people having different elements of your life going through the same thing, and you just feel so, it's not just me, and there's a relief in that, and there's a comfort that there's other people, and there's the light at the end of the tunnel when you're going through those difficulties. Because just to add as well, that all the different types of mothers, I always, a lot of mothers who are older feel like that they shouldn't be there, because sure, I'm past all that. But motherhood is your mum till you die, you know, and you have all the different, I think that we've lost that older people can be a voice of wisdom. They've been there, done that, and they can tell you what worked for them or what didn't, or what they wish they did do, you know, and that's all so helpful for us, you know, that is still in the early days of it all.
Yeah, I know. It was like whenever, I think was it Father David, you said it was at the end, like you said, it was like they just get us, you know, so difficult. Sometimes our own parish priests don't always get us and our desire to bring our children up in the faith, because, you know, it's difficult. But his was like a real rollicking team talk, and you're like, yeah, you know, he just felt like we can do this, and he sees us, and he, you know, and it just felt so good, because you could tell, you know, the mutual building up that was going on there. Like, we were so happy to see him, to see them and their priesthood, and we were so grateful to them, and we love them so much, our priests, and we want to pray for them. So they were getting so much feedback from us, and we were getting so much love from them. It was just amazing, and that's how, you know, parish life should be. That's really what the Catholic family should look like, when we're really, really building each other up, encouraging each other, telling each other, we see your struggles. We might not understand every single dimension of your own challenges, but we see what you're doing, and we admire what you're doing. You know, it was so lovely, because you really felt like they admired us.
Oh yeah.
You felt like they were so encouraging.
Yeah, it was a fantastic day, and everybody, by the end of it, everybody was just buzzing.
Yeah.
There was they wanted more, and they would, you know, that this needs to be something, the feedback was that this needs to be something more regular. Yeah. And there's another, next retreat is booked already for Cork.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I was going to get you to say, well, it doesn't end there. So tell us more. What's the dates? We can share the poster. What's happening next then?
So next is it's with the Dominicans again in Cork, and it is on the 22nd of October. It's the Saturday. It's actually the feast day of Pope St. John Paul II, which is very I don't know, I love St. John Paul, so I was delighted that it was that day. It's starting off registrations at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then we'll have mass after registration. You know, we're trying to fit in with their schedule too. So, and then we have a few talks that day. We have Father Morris from the Dominicans in Cork, and we are having one of the nuns from the Dominicans in Limerick are coming down to give us a talk as well. And Jennifer Keogh is coming to give her talk again. It was so well received, and I think it helped a lot of people. So I was delighted that she's able to do another talk. So that will be that day. I'm still working on a program for the day and getting it all ironed out, but it'll be a similar to the one in Dundalk. And taking on board some of the feedback that I got.
Yeah, well, listen, so just there's a shout out to our listeners. If you're anyway in that southern direction, if you're close to Cork at all, it's worth travelling, it's worth getting in touch with the Catholic Mothers Group and booking your place. A couple of things, we'll put up your contact details in a wee second, Sinead, but am I right in saying it's donation only? So we know that people are under a lot of pressure financially, so you don't want anyone to feel excluded by a price. So maybe you could tell us a bit more about that, and then tell us the email address that anyone wants to get any more information about the whole group.
Yep. So I never put a price on a day, because I always felt so strongly about it. And I've had a lot of people saying you should be charging and it should be a price. But with the way things are going, people just can't afford that all the time. And I've listened to so many with different activities that are on for different groups and them costing, and it's just ruled out straight away. And, you know, it sort of becomes then the haves and the have-nots, and that's not what our faith is about. So that's why I don't put a price on the day. But we do ask everybody to give, you know, these days aren't free. They cost a lot of money to run. And, you know, there's so much promise in this group, and so much interest and so much hunger for things like this. So, the money all goes towards putting on more days like this and other events in different areas,
And then your email address then, Sinead, so just give us your email address so people can get in touch. We'll put it up on the screen as well.
It's catholicmothersirl at protonmail.com, so protonmail.com.
So HLI listeners, friends and supporters, I think you will be so encouraged by Sinead and her witness. She has a big family herself, young children. She was breastfeeding just before she came on live here, so she's just trying to do it all. So maybe you could include Sinead and her family in your prayers as well. It's so important that we have witnesses like Sinead. It's so important that we have people who have the courage to stand up and be involved and be church. That's what we're called to do, particularly the laity in these days. And so yeah, keep in touch. And if you need any further information, either get in touch with ourselves here at humanlife.ie or Sinead directly on the email address she had. Sinead, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy life to share some of that brilliant information that you shared with us today.
No bother, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me on.
It's been a pleasure, and please God, we'll have you on again. And I can also say that the caliber of the mothers that you have on that group, I think I could probably, every time I go to one of the meetups, I'm going, I should interview you for the show. They're just full of a wealth of information, of faith, of experience.
Unbelievable.
Incredible. So yeah, maybe we should do a series of just
Catholic mothers. Yeah, it's
Catholic mothers and their wisdom. It's incredible.
Well, yeah, and the importance of us. That we have so much between us all. Everybody has different. I just can never get my head around the amount of people that God has brought together through this group, and they've all got so much. Every one of them have so much to offer, and I'm just so thankful that it's all about giving your yes. That did this group, but because I said yes to God, and this is where it's led. And thanks be to God that the things that He can do once you are ready and willing.
Praise God, praise God. And we know that the last battle is on the family. We know the attack is on the family, and mothers are at the center, at the heart of the family. So we need to strengthen and encourage the Catholic mothers of Ireland and beyond so they can, resist the attacks, but not only resist them, we can thrive and flourish and be part of the re-evangelization of this country and indeed the world, raising up the next generation.
That's exactly it. Yeah. It's on us now that we're passing the faith on to our children, and we're inspiring the Holy Spirit to work through us and through them. And it is flourishing when you see the numbers that were at that retreat and the numbers that were interested, and it was Deirdre that approached me for the Cork retreat. I had just done Dundalk. I had no intentions of doing anything else. And she was like, would you consider doing something in Cork? I was like, no problem. And there's one plan for Derry as well, but I'll have more information on that. But it's just this knock-on effect, and the more people that say yes, the more that's going to be.
Yeah, it's the enthusiasm for it and the joy that we have. I mean, it's a tough call. It's a tough life that we've chosen, but the joy when we get together, the fun we have, the smiles on the faces, just really, it really is. And it just is a joyful life. This Catholic motherhood is a joyful life, a life that none of us would want any different. No. And we want to be able to share that joy, especially when we all had our down times, which we do. So thank you so much, Sinead. God bless you and your family and your ministry. To all our listeners, thank you for taking the time to listen and share our show today. Please remember that we at HLI Ireland are working and praying for an Ireland where God is first, life is sacred, and the family is cherished. Until next time, God bless. If you enjoyed today's show, please like, share and subscribe. Subscribe to our channel so we can grow the channel and keep sharing all the good news that's happening here in Ireland.